I'm not going to pick Pogačar. I'm going to pick Mathieu van der Poel. I think Van der Poel is in the best shape of his life for one-day races. He already won Milan-San Remo. Pogačar tried to drop him there on the Cipressa, on the Poggio.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes. Outcomes is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Please gamble responsibly, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, seek help from a professional resource. Hosts and guests may have financial interest in the bets discussed. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are predicting the Tour of Flanders, or Ronde van Vlaanderen, 270-kilometer race. I think best race of the year, probably one of the hardest races of the year, an interesting and kind of difficult one to predict because of this. We will get Johan's take on who is going to win and how it's going to play out. But first, let's take a second to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims. Close your eyes and imagine what you'll look like 6 months from now. How's your hair look? The same? Now picture how your hair would look if you started using Hims. If you're picturing the same you as before, but with much thicker and fuller hair, you'd be correct. Because Hims provides you with convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted opinions and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. All you have to do is pick how you want to take it. Chewables, spray, serum treatments, and you can figure out what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there's no inconvenient or uncomfortable doctor visits. All you have to do is answer a few questions, and a medical provider will determine if treatments are right for you or which ones are right for you. And if prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you with free shipping. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. And Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back with visibly thicker and fuller hair. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/themove, spelled out THEMOVE, hims.com/themove, hims.com/themove for your personalized hair loss treatment options. Again, hims, HIMS.com/themove. This episode is brought to you by Troscriptions. Here's a question to consider. What do you need right now on your path to health optimization? Well, whatever it is, what I need more sleep. I need to have a better immune system. I need more energy. And guess what? Troscriptions has created science-backed, pharmaceutical-grade, physician-designed, and rigorously tested formulas that can deliver all of these to all of us if we want to. So if you're like me and you're on a mission to feel better and you got to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning tomorrow to watch Tour of Flanders, so you want to feel rejuvenated and refreshed, then Troscriptions' innovative delivery system, a buccal troche, which is a small dissolvable lozenge that is placed between the upper cheek and the gum, is perfect for you. They are extremely fast acting, taking typically 15 to 30 minutes to kick in, and they infuse their ingredients directly into your cheek, which makes it much faster than taking it, let's say, through your digestive system, which can mess up your stomach and take a longer time. They have physician-led formulas, pharmaceutical-grade quality, novel ingredients, and precision dosing because each troche is meticulously calibrated and scored, allowing users to easily titrate their dosage to meet their individual needs. I have these at home. You can just break them into pieces if you want to take smaller doses, or you can take more pieces if you want a larger dose. It's very, very easy to modulate. They're made in the USA. They have a diverse product line that gives you different products give you, let's say, enhanced focus and productivity. Another one might decrease inflammation. Another one could promote relaxation and stress relief. Another one could make it easier to fall asleep or support immune health, increase deep sleep, and fight infection. All of those sound fantastic, if I'm going to be honest, and something I probably need help with. And so if you're interested, go to troscriptions.com/themove, spelled out THEMOVE at the end of transcriptions.com, or just enter the move at checkout for 10% off your first order. That's Troscriptions, TROSCRIPTIONS. I hope I spelled that right. .com/themove for 10% off your first order. Troscriptions.com/themove for 10% off for your gateway to feeling better and better health in 2025. All right, back to the show. All right, Johan, 270K, Bruges to Oudenaarde. I think best race of the year. I don't know about you, but I'll list off the favorites on Unibet, and then you can tell us who you think is going to win and how this thing is going to play out. Tadej Pogačar is the favorite at an absurd -134. That is crazy. Like, just for reference, if it was 100, if you bet $100 or euros, you would win 100 of profit. So you 200 total payout. Mathieu van der Poel +150, Mads Pedersen +1,000, Wout van Aert +1,400, Matteo Jorgensen +3,300, Filippo Ganna +5,000, Nielsen Palace, who just won Tour of Flanders, +5,000. That's an absurd long shot odds for someone that won a lead-in race. Stefan Kung +6,600, Magnus Sheffield +8,000. It starts to drop off. The winner usually comes from above that, but this is wild. It's actually weird to me that Van der Poel's not the favorite. But Johan, who do you think is going to win, and how are they going to win?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of debate now. It's Pogačar versus Van der Poel. It seems like everybody else doesn't count. That's not the way bike racing works, especially Tour of Flanders, because it could also be a tactical race. Although I think that these two guys are a level bit above everybody else. So if things go as normal and there's no circumstances, meaning there's no breakaway that can't be reeled in, or there's nobody of the favorites held up by a crash, I'm not going to pick Pogačar. I'm going to pick Mathieu van der Poel. I think Van der Poel is in the best shape of his life for one-day races. He already won Milan-San Remo. Pogačar tried to drop him there on the Cipressa, on the Poggio. Not steeper climbs, but longer efforts, like 5 minutes plus. Cipressa, almost 10 minutes. This is different. These are shorter climbs. They're steep, but this is Van der Poel's preferred terrain. This is his backyard. If you look at his track record of Mathieu van der Poel, he did the Tour of Flanders 6 times. He won it 3 times. He was 2 times second and 1 time fourth when he crashed. There's nobody in the peloton right now who has a better track record than Mathieu van der Poel. People say, Pogačar dropped him 2 years ago, 2023. That's true. There's 2 reasons why I think that's not going to happen tomorrow. Number one, as I said, I think Van der Poel is in a better shape than then. And secondly, a guy like Van der Poel, I think also it was a bit of I'm not going to say tactical mistake, but he was kind of surprised a little bit by the first attack of Pogačar. And the way I know Mathieu van der Poel, I mean, his character, his pride, I can't see him let that happen a second time. These 2-minute efforts, it's very repetitive, but there's only one climb in Tour of Flanders, which is 3 minutes. That's the Alpe d'Huez. He has also this ability to ride on cobbles like no one else. I think that's in the favor of Van der Poel compared to Pogačar. For all this, plus the fact that he also has a strong team. Pogačar also has a strong team. But if it's man-to-man, I don't think that Pogačar will be able to drop Mathieu van der Poel. There's maybe one climb where it's possible. It would be the Koppenberg, super steep. But it's earlier in the race and it's far from the finish. And then if it's man against man from there on, still to Van der Poel, he went last year, on the Koppenberg, but it was Pedersen and Jorgensen behind him. That's a possibility, but honestly, I think Van der Poel is the king of Flanders, and that's why he's going to win tomorrow.
It's a compelling case, and I mean, full disclosure, I bet on Van der Poel to win this race a week ago. So I guess in some way I agree with you, because if you just think about it like this, Pogačar has to drop Van der Poel. Van der Poel doesn't have to drop Pogačar. That's a huge disadvantage, because if they go to the line together, probably Van der Poel wins. As we saw on Wednesday, it's never a guarantee, but there's a good chance Van der Poel can just be fine with the sprint finish. Pogačar has to make this race as hard as possible from a really long way out and probably drop Van der Poel again. It doesn't seem easy. As you said, I do think Van der Poel's better now than he was in 2023 when Pogačar won. But you don't think that Pogačar can drop him on the Old Clermont again? The last pass of it?
Yeah, I mean, he did already in the past, but I think Van der Poel's just in amazing shape right now, and he's focusing. He's just picking out his objectives. He didn't race anymore after E3. Didn't do Gent-Wevelgem. Didn't do Dwars door Vlaanderen. He's just going for the big ones, and I mean, so is Pogačar, but. Compared to let's look at it this way, Spencer. Van der Poel has 2 big races left in what is the majority of the season. It's Flanders and Roubaix. After that, Van der Poel can say, "Okay, guys, I'm out of here and I'm preparing for the World Championships mountain bike now in the fall." Pogačar still has the big objectives coming. He has Flanders, he does Roubaix. Those are actually not his 2 biggest objectives. He does Liège, he does the Tour de France, right? So I think that's also the advantage. Plus that Van der Poel has already his monument in the pocket, so he can race more stress-free, I would say. Okay, Pogačar can also, it doesn't really matter if he wins or not. He's number 1 rider in the world by far, right? He has more than double of the UCI points than the number 2 in the classification. So, But no, I don't think Pogačar's dropping Van der Poel tomorrow. I don't think so.
Well, just to zag, I'm going to say he does drop him, but almost for the reason you just laid out for Van der Poel. Like Pogačar, less stress than Van der Poel. I mean, he seems to be able to handle this incredibly well. Like one of the weird things about the last 5 years is Van der Poel went from this erratic, he's like erratic. I feel like he would always kind of make the work. Remember like 2019, he was riding on the sidewalk with no hands and he's flipping over his handlebars. Like he is a different rider from then. Like he's always in the right place, right time, can just parachute in. I found a crazy stat the other day that's something like he's won 23 World Tour races in his career, which is actually less than Wout van Aert and is like a third of Pogačar has 70 World Tour wins, which shows you how little he races. Like he just parachutes in, wins them. Like 65% of his World Tour wins are before May. Like he can just drop it in the spring, win big races. Eventually, I just have to think this catches up to him. Like there's a lot of pressure on a small number of races. That would be my argument for Pogačar. And then also, man, these Strava times. I don't want to fall for the clickbait, but I took a peep at Pogačar's Strava before this episode when he did his Roubaix recon. Like there's some qualifiers there, but the dude is feline, specifically over cobblestones.
Yeah,
like I think they could make it hard enough.
You have to take into account also, Spencer, there's also this psychological game. Like Pogačar obviously published his recon ride in Roubaix for that specific reason, because he had 3 KOMs, right? Now, we don't know. I do know that one of them is, I think, Mont-Saint-Pével, which is a really hard sector. The wind was blowing very, very hard, and it was tailwind. Then, there was a motorbike in the game also. I know that the team rented a motorbike in Belgium to accompany him on the sectors. And it's for training purposes, of course, because you want the guys to come in at race speed, then do the sector at race speed. But he hasn't published his Strava file of his Tour of Flanders recon. He didn't publish the time on the Quaremont.
Well, I'm sure you saw this headline that he did it in 40K an hour, but then you're like, read that article. There's not a lot of evidence in that article. Listen, they just kind of say that he did it.
Yeah, he went very fast, for sure. He went very fast, and maybe he has the KOM. I don't know. I don't know if it not Casper Asgreen who has the KOM for the moment, 259 on the Quaremont.
Oof, I actually don't know that.
Yeah, I read somewhere that Asgreen was 259. I don't know if anybody is faster or not. Normally if you're really, this is a psychological war also, right? So we don't know. I mean, it was impressive when Pogačar posted, or with his team or anybody. I don't know if it was the team or anybody else. But the fact is that the team did film this preparation for the Quaremont and then the semi-attack of Pogačar. That's for a reason, right? I mean, it was filmed on purpose. But yeah, listen, he's in great shape. I'm a Pogačar fan also. I just picked Van der Poel because we have to pick one, and so that's why you pick Pogačar, right? It's one of both that we have to say, okay, this is the favorite. But we have a big race on our hands. I think that's the conclusion, and we don't really know who's going to win. And maybe it's not one of them. We don't know.
Well, as we're debating Pogačar or Van der Poel, I mean, part of me thinks it probably is going to be one of them, because these guys, it's such a hard race. And I've gone through year after year after year preparing for this. I have to do hard preparation for Flanders. I got to be ready for it. But just even going to the race, I went back. It's one of the least, I guess, erratic races on the calendar, at least since they changed the course to the new course. In the last 10 of the 12, in the last 12 editions, 10 times the winning move went even before the Paterberg, which is the final climb. That shows you that these moves are happening so far out, and that means it's not like Roubaix where someone like Johan van Summeren, was his name? Johan van Summeren, and get off the front and just get in front of the race. It's so much harder to do at Flanders than any other race. So you tend to just get the strongest guy wins the race. That helps Van der Poel or Pogačar, because when the SHIT hits the fan on that last, the last two climbs, it's hard to imagine anyone staying with them. Before we get into who could stay with them, just one thing I want to point out, and Pogačar writes his own rules. This might not matter, but to support your Van der Poel theory, I went back through the last 15 years. Almost everybody had a result. Every winner of Flanders had a result in 9 days or fewer before Flanders. The only two examples are Casper Asgreen in 2021. He didn't have a result. He had 8th at Tirreno TT. Still believable to me. He won that race. And then Cancellara.
I'm not sure, Spencer. Didn't he win E3 or Warga?
You know what? No, you're right. He won E3 that year because I remember looking through the things at E3. I'm just going to check us on that. I'm pretty sure he won E3. Yes, you're right. He did win E3. Yeah. So, and then Cancellara went San Remo 2014 to Flanders. But that's not that common actually at all. So that would be one thing about Pogačar where you're so you didn't race any of these warm-up races and then you just happened to drop in.
I think, it's a very, very nice stats, Spencer, but I think it doesn't apply to Pogačar. Honestly, he's on another level. He's insane.
Well, you could also say most people don't win the Giro and then win the Tour, and he's just able to seemingly rewrite.
How long ago is it that the defending Tour de France champion is at the start of Flanders and Roubaix? And on top of that, in the World Championship jersey, I think, it would be. I think it would be Bernard Hinault, probably.
Yeah, it happens so rarely. It's ostensively no one can do it.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible. Yeah,
well, it's as we already said many times, Spencer. These are different types of cycling. It's a different sport. Tour de France. You cannot imagine a guy like Jonas Vingegaard or Remco Evenepoel or Primož Roglič, to name the three other big Grand Tour riders. They can't even race Flanders and Roubaix. They would get killed.
Yeah. I was think about Jonas at Roubaix. Just go well.
No,
probably.
You could say Remco could maybe race Flanders if he has a really strong team with him that brings him. But I still have my doubts, because this is, as I said in another podcast, this is war, real war. All the wars we have seen in cycling right now until now are peanuts compared to the war we're going to see tomorrow. This is the real war. Like, nobody looks after anything. It's just, okay, I have to be there on that spot in, the top 10. And that's just crazy what happens in the peloton and how strong you have to be. And, how fearless you have to be also. So, Pogačar's a guy, he can do that. There's nobody of those other Grand Tour riders can do it.
There are very few people, but the point of my incorrect stat was there's just so few people that come out of nowhere, like shockingly few. Like even think of Bettiol in 2019. That, it's like, where the heck did this guy come from? He got fourth at E3. He was, it'd be like Nielsen Palace or something winning where you're like, not what I expected, but like the signs were there that he was in very good shape prior to the race. So when you're going down this, we both agree, Pogačar, Van der Poel, like, I think it was Remco, Pogačar, Van der Poel have won something like 18 out of the last 19 biggest one-day races, with Jasper Philipsen being the only other one. So it's a good chance that it's one of those two. But if it doesn't happen that way, how does it happen and who wins?
Well, we have to think about Visma. It's unbelievable how things can change quickly. Visma was last year and the year before the best team in the Spring Classics. Then we had, of course, Wout van Aert crashing out in Tour of Flanders with huge bad luck for Visma, but still they were a very dominant team. Now, until the last race in Waregem, we didn't see that Visma. Now they did a really good race. When was it? Was it Wednesday? I guess Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday.
They were impressive. Okay, you could say, well, Van der Poel and Pogačar and Ghana were not there, but Pedersen was there. There was a lot of good teams. There was a lot of good teams, and all the other guys were there. They were really, really solid. They didn't win. That's the only minus point, I would say, because they bet everything on Wout van Aert, and if they would have said, okay, this needs to be a race won by Visma and not by Wout van Aert per se, then they would always have won. But yeah, we have
which
to.
They'll probably say on Sunday, right? They're not going to say like, "Hey, Mathieu, come back."
Yeah, for sure.
You sit up. We're gonna sprint it out with. Yeah,
for sure. Jorgensen is also strong. He's always been there. He's been their strongest rider overall until now, like both in stage races, Paris-Nice, and the classics. At least he was present in the final. Always. So Wout van Aert already said that they're on the same level in Flanders, and so if that's going to be enough, I don't know. But as a wild card, I have to pick Wout van Aert, also because I think that he's calculated precisely when he wanted to be in top shape. I've read somewhere that last year he did kind of a little bit the same preparation, but like going to altitude, but was feeling amazing in Dwars door Vlaanderen until he crashed. And now he has changed that a little bit to do it like a week later. So he changed everything that he did last year, but he put it like a week later with the purpose of being in top shape in Flanders and Paris-Roubaix. Lots of people have been critical about Wout van Aert, myself included. But let's wait to judge or to have our opinion until after Paris-Roubaix, right? Because maybe he's amazing in Flanders and Roubaix, and we all have to say, hey, hey, he was right. It's still Wout van Aert, he's still one of the best riders in the world. He didn't have, I'm not going to say luck on his side, but it didn't seem to work out for him. But something tells me that he's going to get better by the day after a long period on altitude. And, some people are straight away really good when they get back. Some people need a week. In this case, and sometimes you're good right after you come back, and another year you need a little bit more adaptation. So I'm still going to give him the credit of his, qualities as a rider, and think that he has to be able to be in contention for the win. It would need, a little bit of circumstances, but hey, who knows? If Van der Poel and Pogačar can't drop each other and there's some kind of hesitation, maybe Wout van Aert can take advantage of it at some point in the final.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. So he's plus 1,400. So you're getting like wild card odds for maybe one of the most talented riders to ever race. So if let's just start at that. That's pretty good. I went back and watched Dwars. I know you love when people call it that, Johan. Across. Just a really logical.
Dwars Tour of Flanders. Across Flanders.
And
across.
Your favorite race, across.
You went to watch across. Okay.
And he was, obviously, the only thing anyone's going to remember is they stuffed that race up like epically. It's like, how did this happen? But you go back and watch, the guy was flying, from 100K out.
He was really good.
He's doing domestique work and then getting into the winning move, which is really hard to do. Mm-hmm. The whole sprint was flawed from the beginning. If you watch that, think how screwed Jorgensen and Benoot were. And they're leading him out. They drop him off with 250K to go. And then he's doing a long sprint with Palace on his wheel. It'd be very hard to win that, actually. Yeah. Especially considering he was flying through that race. So we know he's not in terrible shape. I've been thinking about 2022 a lot. How is this race going to play out? It's kind of the forgotten Flanders to me, because remember Pogačar and Van der Poel got away. They don't work. This is just my vague recollection of it. I don't think they work together that well. And then they're caught by Dylan Van Baarle and Valentin Madouas kind of awkwardly in the final straight. And then Pogačar gets stuck, can't sprint. Van der Poel ends up winning. So it's no harm, no foul. He easily could have lost that to one of those, the group that caught them. I think Stefan Kung and Dylan Teuns were there as well. You could imagine a scenario where Pogačar attacks, Van der Poel follows him, as you're saying, because Pogačar can't drop him. And then what happens? Pogačar is going to work with him to the line? I don't think so. Yeah. And then you have a chasing group. You think so? Yeah,
he will. Yeah. These guys,
they just get beat in the sprint.
Around, man. If Pogačar, he's going to work. He's going to let the majority of the work to Van der Poel, but he will take pulls for sure. I have no doubt about it. What is he going to do? Okay, you could say,
he's better off.
I gamble, let some guys come back and then try to attack from 5 or 6 guys instead of trying to drop Van der Poel. Yeah. But it's not that far, from the Paterberg till, there's not that much time to play from the Paterberg to the finish line in Oudenaarde.
Well, if a group, you could imagine Van Aert being in a group behind. If they catch them, anything could happen, and that's how Van Aert would win. You like Van Aert. I think Pedersen at plus 1,000 is that's my just personal Van Aert pick. For the oddball scenario that happens, I think Pedersen. Also, Pedersen, if you go back and watch last year's race, he was attacking from 100 kilometers out. And George is sending in our group chat what's he doing? He's an idiot. Not he didn't say that, but he's just what's he doing? He's not thinking correctly. He did not say he was an idiot. Don't aggregate that. But in my mind, you watch it, he knows what's coming. He knows he has to get in front of the race, because it's there's no point in staying in the group. So you could Pedersen, to me, understands the assignment and has the fitness to even begin to tangle with these guys. So that would be my wild card pick.
Yeah. He's in great shape. What he did in Gent-Wevelgem was amazing. In Waregem, he was strong again. He was, caught behind some guys and probably didn't have a day where he was feeling 100%, but he was still there. I'm surprised though about Pedersen with the form he has, the amount of races he has done. He could easily have skipped. After Gent-Wevelgem, I think he should have skipped.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the summer off, oddly, for reasons unknown.
Yeah. Well, but he does after the classics here. He goes to the Giro, so it doesn't have that much time off.
But then, is his season's kind of done, right? At the Giro.
No. He does Giro and Vuelta. He does Giro and Vuelta.
Yeah. The Vuelta is a big deal. It's no longer like a drinking vacation. Yeah.
Without Ken Pharma.
But no worlds.
How about that?
What'd you say?
The Vuelta without Ken Pharma, Equipo Ken Pharma.
I know. Yeah, we'll have to kick that to the next Move Plus, but pretty shocking actually.
Yeah. So, the logical choice, Spencer. There's no, the way these races are written now and the way these guys are performing there's almost no surprises. You can see who's in shape. You can see who has the legs to go the distance. Difference between Waregem and Arlbeke, for example. So Dwars door Vlaanderen and E3. And Flanders is that it's 50, 60 kilometers more, even 70 kilometers more in the case of Waregem. So that's obviously a total different game, but it's the same guys.
And do you think, like, just closing thoughts before we go? So they do the Quaremont twice. One is like with 50.
They do it three
times.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, one's like really far from the line.
Yeah,
and then 50-ish K to go, and then about 18-ish K to go. Last time, so not last year, but the last time Pogačar did this 2 years ago, he attacked the second time up, kind of reduced the group. Do you think that is UAE going to do that again? Like this team lead out they're practicing that's not actually going to happen in the race. Or are they going to do that like the first time up with over 100K to go?
I don't think the first time, no. But I could see. I mean, I don't think Pogačar's going to wait until the last time, specifically because all these guys that he has had in front of him in their tryout. There's Tim Wellens, there's Florian Vermeers. I don't know who the Morgado. I don't know who the other guy was. Was it Narvaez? I guess so. They're not all going to be there the last time up the Quaremont. They're not, there's going to be maybe one guy with him. So I think maybe that lead out is planned to be the second last time with 50 something kilometers to go. That's when listen, after what we have seen from these guys, 50K from the finish, that's nothing. They go 70, 80K to go now. So yeah, I think the second time of the Quaremont is the attack. I think though he's gonna go on the Koppenberg.
Is the Koppenberg long enough? As you said, like
no, it's
shorter because
it's very steep. It's a risk. Van der Poel is super explosive, has a lot of power, cobbles. If you look at last year, it was wet, specifically on the Koppenberg, but he mastered those cobbles in a way that nobody else. Everybody else looked like amateurs. Jurgensen and Pedersen were the only two guys who were barely made it to the top. Everybody else was by foot, and Van der Poel just smooth over it. That's not the case. Now, another thing, Spencer, we didn't mention, which I think we should take into account, is the wind tomorrow. It's going to be windy from the start, quite windy. So,
I would say this is one race I can't even begin to comprehend what direction the wind's going to be coming from because it turns so like it goes. I feel like in every direction all over the country.
Not the beginning. From Bruges, then they go in the same direction towards the Flemish Ardennes, what they call it. And then it's like a zigzag and a labyrinth, right? But the wind is going to be strong. So we could see already some, we've seen already, I hope he's learned his lesson, but Mathieu van der Poel tends to be sometimes relaxed in the back and has been caught already. And then his team needed to, correct the situation. Sometimes because he's in the back, sometimes because there's a crash. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow because he's going to be very alert because especially when it's windy, but could be surprises until they get to the hilly zone.
What did you think? So at E3, he's caught behind a crash earlier in the race and then was upset that other teams kept the pressure on. Like, were you surprised that, I would probably be upset, but I was just surprised that he even went public with that.
Yeah, well, he was irritated. His team had to do a lot of work. They had a plan. They had some guys they wanted to, they wanted to execute another plan, right? But there you see the artist in cycling, who is Mathieu van der Poel. He can adapt. They had a plan with probably 2 or 3 guys who were going to lead out an attack. He just sat back, followed the attack of Pedersen, didn't take the initiative, and that just let it happen, But yeah, I mean, nowadays, man, it's every single circumstance, a crash or a flat tire or whatever. It's all considered circumstances of the race, like events that happen in the race. Races are uphill, downhill, crosswinds, cobbles, crashes, mechanicals. It's all part of it nowadays. I mean, the teams that did it, especially Groupama, FDG, I didn't really like to see that, because it's not like, okay, they had Stefan Kung, but it's not like they're going to win the race for sure. They had a lot of riders. I think they had 6 out of the 7 riders in the first group. And Kung is strong, but he's not in the top 3-4 favorites to win this race.
Yeah, but we're living in extreme times. I mean, just the last few monument winners: Van der Poel, Pogačar, Van der Poel, Philipsen, Pogačar, Evenepoel, Van der Poel, Pogačar, Van der Poel, Pogačar, Evenepoel, Van Barle, Van der Poel. Like, that's in, like, Van der Poel gets a flat, like, early in the race, teams are going. Like, they're not going to sit around, because these guys are eating the sport alive. There are no opportunities for anybody else.
Even I mean, okay, it's obviously in the final of the race, but when was it? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Van der Poel won Flanders, he was away with Wout van Aert. Van Aert had a flat in one of the final sections. These things happen.
Yeah, some journalists should have had that as a follow-up question. Yeah, it's like, well, you didn't wait for Van Aert.
It's different, because it was in the final, and first of all, in Paris-Roubaix, it's part of the race. That you can say, okay, this is part of the race. If you have a flat, nobody waits. This was different. There was a crash in the peloton in the very beginning of the race. That's completely different. I didn't like. I
feel like we haven't.
I didn't like it.
I feel like we haven't mentioned this, but this is, if Van der Poel wins this, so he's tied for the most Flanders wins of all time. This snuck up on me. If he wins this, he has the record, and this is his career record at this race. His first time, 4th, second, first, second. So first time doing it, 4th, first, second, first, second, first. That's his career record at this race. Do you want to hear? This guy's pretty good. Eddie Merckx. This is his first 6 times. DNF 3rd, 9th, 1st, 3rd, 76th. So like he's the best ever at racing Flanders, at least through his first 6 attempts. Pogačar, not too bad himself, 4th and 1st, but he's really good at this race.
Flanders twice?
He won 3 times.
3 times.
One of them was outside of, like, he actually won a lot later than you think.
Yeah.
Like it took him, same thing with Boonen, like 24th, 25th, 25th, 1st, 12th, 17th, and then he wins. He kind of has that second era that he won his 3rd in. Yeah. But Van der Poel's the best rider. That's what's weird, to go back to the beginning, why he's not the favorite. He's the best.
That's why I pick him. He has the best track record ever in this race.
It's not terrible logic. And to have your worst ever result be 4th, to be the best rider at this race.
Your first Tour of Flanders, no experience, crashing, coming back from far. Like, everybody thought he was out of the race. He comes back and he finishes 4th.
Yeah, that was a disaster race for him, and he got 4th in his first time doing it. He's obviously maybe a little bit older, because he had a kind of a career before that. But it'd be like if like Lance Armstrong was at his peak, and you're like, he's won 7 tours and he's racing Pogačar. It's almost like a made up situation where it's like, okay, Pogačar, let's create the world's best Flemish race rider, go. And like, let's see what happens. Like, it's weird to me that this is actually going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was going to say one more thing about Van der Poel. Oh, have you noticed? So they switched to Pirelli tires this was like last year. His team seems to have a lot of flats, has not caught up to Van der Poel yet. Am I reading too much into this, or are they suffering a lot of flats?
I don't know. Yeah, they switched to Pirelli this year, actually. I think it's the first year.
Was it just this year?
Yeah.
Well, that's even worse because they actually do seem to have more flats this year.
I remember last year they were on Vitoria. Yeah, I don't know. Wonder what tires he's gonna. He's probably gonna ride 30 millimeter tires. The tendons now. The trend is that they're going wider. We're gonna see 32 millimeter tires tomorrow. Also, probably in Paris-Roubaix, even riders on 34 millimeter tires. But I think Van der Poel is on 30.
Why? I guess. Like, what's the advantage of a 30 over? Because 34 is probably faster on the cobble sections. Is it just that much slower on the road?
For Paris-Roubaix, probably better because there's a lot of cobbles and it's flat. Flanders, there's less cobbles in terms of distance, kilometers, and it's uphill. I think the wider tires actually compensate. That's great for a guy like Pogačar compared to, because he is probably 10 kilos lighter than, Van Aert and Van der Poel. And these wider tires, especially for Paris-Roubaix, are an advantage. It compensates for, usually you would say, normally Paris-Roubaix was you have to be 72 kilos plus to win.
Mm-hmm.
The wider tires kind of correct that a little bit. It gives you more comfort, and that's an advantage for Pogačar in Paris-Roubaix compared to the usual 10 kilogram heavier guys who normally he would not be able to follow on the cobbles.
See, it's pretty interesting, Johan. I don't think I've heard anyone say that, but it is when you're on these wide, like I was on 42s today on some rough Texas roads, and you're just kind of like, it takes, because you're like, when you're on really rough roads and you're on so much, it's almost like you're stopping, like you're killing your momentum. Yeah. So a bigger rider can just keep powering through.
I would just 22 millimeter tires for Paris-Roubaix, but it's maybe a bit too big. But
I would be on 55s if I was riding on those cobblestones. Give me the biggest tires.
If I ever do the Gran Fondo Paris-Roubaix or something, the Sportif, I'm going with my gravel bike with 42 millimeter tires minimum, and an ideal tire pressure that you're kind of comfortable and like floating over the cobbles. But anyways, we're in a different.
I've been watching the recon videos of the Quermont, and I'm surprised how rough it is. Like I would definitely be on a gravel bike.
Yeah.
I mean, the last note I have on this race is the Quermont. I think that's where Pogačar, and I do think you're right. He's going to attack the second time up with the team because it's that second bit it's like that false flat. Like to me, that's the only way. That's the only place you can really get away from Van der Poel. But I guess we'll see.
I don't see where Pogačar can drop Van der Poel. Honestly, I can't see it.
It's also possible this race comes down to a mechanical.
That's true. I mean,
these guys are so closely matched.
So many things can happen, not just a mechanical. A crash, that doesn't even have to be the rider himself.
A jacket on the side.
Crash before them, like they're stuck all of a sudden. Whatever, it can happen,
All right. Well, we will let you and Christian rest up for your big race tomorrow.
Yeah,
but that is not Tour of Flanders.
Not Tour of Flanders. It's a cadet race here in the north of Spain.
How's the weather?
Today was okay. They had a little bit of rain, but tomorrow they predict pretty good weather, so should be fine.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I hear north of Spain. I think rain, so that's good. Yeah. You're not going to have rain. Well, thanks, Johan. And if you're in the US and you just listen to this whole thing, you're thinking, okay, this is all great, guys, but how do I watch this? It's on Flow Sports, the Flow app. You're going to have to bite the bullet and buy that Flow subscription. I hate to break it to everybody, but I'm excited to watch it. And have a good evening, Johan. And I guess you won't be on it, but the guys, there will be a show tomorrow right after the race with some collection of.
With an audience.
Yeah, live show at Mellow Johnny's.
Yeah, that's a first for the move.
I actually was talking to the GM of Melajani's. I thought it was the first. He said they had a
one
live show at Melajani.
Yeah, they had one. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the forgotten tapes. I forgot.
Maybe it's something we need to look in for the future to do it. I'm not gonna say regularly, but now and then, like for precise races, I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. So if you're in Austin, come on down. MJ's going to be open, I think like 8 a.m. I'll be there watching the race, and then the guys will come later for the show. But our producer, Gabriel, thought you and I live show the Move Plus at some point, Johan. We got to look into that.
Yeah, why not?
London.
We'll think about it.
All right. Well, have a good evening, and I'm excited for the race. I think it's going to be great, and we'll see if our predictions are correct.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer. Speak soon.
All right. Bye.